everyone, welcome back to a lovely new year. We've got our lovely medium Daniel Wright with me today. He's come back after a little while away, which was lovely to see him. Does everyone have a good holiday? Everyone have a good break? Does everyone miss me? Good. Just feed my ego, I've had a bad Christmas. I haven't, it was just I had to do a lot of stuff and it was very boring and very tiring. So now I need to feel good. Deep breaths, everybody. Nice energy in here tonight, so good. Right, now that I've got everyone nice and quiet and everyone's fiddled and everything, has everyone got their phones on silent for me? Mine's on silent, I was just checking because you did not want mine to go off. If it would have been really embarrassing if it had been my phone that suddenly starts making plinky plonky noises, wouldn't it? You don't have to turn it off, just put it on silent. I don't mind, it's all good as long as it's... I was in a workshop with someone once, and the Ghostbusters theme went off, and it wasn't good. Especially as a psychic workshop. So we have to make sure that phones are off. I'm just going to pass you over to Daniel to do opening prayer, just to sort of say hello. Open us up tonight. That would be amazing. Thank you.
Good evening, friends. Nice to be here again. Long time since I've been. I'd like to ask you to join me in prayer, please. I'd like to invite Great Spirit into this Spiritualist Centre this evening to bring love, healing, comfort, knowledge, wisdom, confidence, whatever you feel we need as we go along our paths, Great Spirit. As we know, our paths are not always easy to go down, and we do have problems, and sometimes it's nice to know that you're there with us, walking with us, leading us, or just supporting us. I also like to ask for healing for the many named in the book of this centre, other centres, churches and religions around the world. The world is in a bad state at the moment, and it really does need healing. I also like to ask for healing for our animals, our pets, our farm animals, our zoo animals. But also animals in the wild. We forget these sometimes, and yes, they can be a pest sometimes, like the fox who keeps after my fish. But without wild animals, there'd be no mankind. So I ask you, Great Spirit, send out healing to all living creatures on this earth plane. I'd like to ask for guidance for our homeless out on the streets at night. Lead them to somewhere where they can find warmth, comfort, food. But most of all, because each one's unique, send them to that certain person who can listen to them, help them, and find them a permanent home. No one should be homeless in this day and age. And our service people abroad. We may not like why they're there, we may not understand why they're there, and it may go against our convictions that they bear arms. But we have to remember, in times gone by, people like these have not only given their time, they've given their lives to give us the freedom of what we're doing this evening. So I ask you, Great Spirit, when their work's done, bring them home safely to the family and friends. And now I leave this service in your hands. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you, that's amazing. Right, you all know the drill by now. We've got a healing book here. I'm going to read it out, and we're all going to just take a couple of moments just to send some good energy out to the people that are named in this book. Great Spirit, as we walk into this new year, we give thanks for the lessons. You all right, my darling? Could you come in? It's all good.
Thank you, sorry.
No, that's all right, my lovely. As we walk into this new year, we give thanks for the lessons that we learned in the previous 12 months and look forward to the lessons we've yet to experience. We ask that the people who may not be in as good a place as they should be in this new year receive the love, energy and healing they need to face the coming months with someone by their side. The healing list is Dougie, Neil, AC, Darren, Roy, Maureen, Jenny, Andy, James, Liz, Emma, Heather, Nigel, Robert, Sue, Sam, Brian, Tilly and Nikki. So if you could just take a few moments of quiet, just to envision them in a better situation than they are now. Just visualise lots of nice, loving, healing energy going out to them. That's lovely, thank you. I've just got a little story to read out to you today. Just one about how someone's life changed just from when they discovered their gifts and how things happen for a reason. Growing up in rural Romania, I always felt a bit different from the other kids. But when I was 5 years old, something happened that changed my life. I was having a picnic with my family on a riverbank when I wandered off to explore. Next thing I knew, I tumbled off the bank and into the river. I couldn't swim. I floundered helplessly as the rapid current pulled me downstream. Suddenly there was a flash of bright light, and I felt my spirit leave my body and watched my small frame sinking beneath the river's murky depths as my soul ascended. The light seemed to consume me. I emerged in a green valley with flowers everywhere. Any sense of panic left me, and I felt only joy and pleasure. Several familiar figures were beckoning me towards them, but I didn't know who they were. I just felt that I knew them. Before I could join them, I felt myself suddenly pulled back to the physical world. I woke up with my father kneeling over me, sopping wet and trying desperately to resuscitate me. After that, no one treated me the same. The villagers whispered to each other something had happened on the day that I died. I often knew things before they occurred. Sometimes my gift delighted people, sometimes it scared them. From the start, I've always known when a prediction is coming. I'll feel hyper-fragile and somehow frozen in time. Then images loom over me, good or bad. I grew up and left Romania and moved to the USA, where I met my husband Virgil, an antiques dealer. I began giving people psychic counselling. I started predicting earthquakes, economic disasters and political predictions. My predictions of who'd win the elections were so accurate that I ended up being flown to meet the presidents and presidential candidates around the world. But on September 11th, 2001, when I was driving on my way to work in New York, I suddenly heard my mother's voice saying, "There is danger, go home." It was so vivid that I started shaking. I turned the car around and immediately went home. On TV, I saw the first plane hit the World Trade Center. Then I received a call from Wright of Channel 11 in New York City. I told her that 4 planes were carrying out attacks and that one of the planes was headed towards the White House. Another journalist rang from Good Day New York, and I spoke aloud as a figure was revealed to me, 3,000 deaths. My psychic skills made me famous, and I became a confidant to celebrities from Hillary Clinton to Jennifer Lopez. I got used to celebrity parties in Manhattan, millionaire balls on the Upper East Side, and events in the swanky Hamptons, all the richest areas of the USA. I even partied with Donald Trump. I learnt 5 languages, gained my PhD, and wrote several best-selling books. Gradually, my psychic counselling following grew to over 1 million people. I advised people from all over the world on everything from intimate relationships to where to invest. My husband Virgil was always the wind beneath my wings. He would stick pictures of me around the antique shop that he ran and tell people, "That's my wife, I'm so proud of her." But I hadn't noticed that Virgil was becoming gradually weaker. Slowly, cancer spread from his lungs, as he was a heavy smoker, throughout his whole body. And one day, after an 8-year struggle, he died in my arms. I was absolutely shattered. I'd achieved so much, but it all felt meaningless without the man I loved. One day, I was talking to myself about Virgil, about how I missed him in the morning, and the way he would look at me, and the fun that we'd had, and the freedom that I felt with him, when suddenly I heard his booming voice urging me to sing it, sing, sing. I immediately started singing, expressing my love and my rage and my grief. From time to time, I had dabbled with music, but this was different. I felt as if another force was taking over, writing the music and the songs for me. That song was called The Best Part, and no sooner had I sung it than another song popped straight into my head, and another and another. Before long, I had a whole album behind closed doors. The songs all came to me in different languages, so the album is a mixture of English, Spanish, and my native Romanian. I sometimes wonder if they come from different spirit guides. I got a record deal, and the songs have achieved cult status among young people. They've ended up being played in nightclubs, especially in Latin America and London. People say that the music cheers them up. I became busy with radio and TV interviews, concerts and album launches in 3 countries, including the LSQ rooftop in London's Leicester Square. At the age of 65, it feels strange to spend my days dancing with attractive young men in my music videos and being cheered by pop fans in unexpected places. It wasn't quite how I managed my retirement, but needless to say I love it and I feel very alive. Since lockdown, I've been at my home in Florida working on more songs and sharing my predictions on the American psychic magazine, Times. I've also been sending out thousands of free emails and audio messages to help people with the spiritual resources and mindfulness that they need to get through those frightening and dark times. I truly believe that my husband is still my mentor, and thanks to our music, he's somehow still alive and dancing close beside me. I want to say to every widow out there, however old they may be, keep alert. Destiny might still have great plans for you and adventures beyond your wildest dreams. You might even become a star. I've had a few people I wanted to read that out because I've had a few people that have said to me about how, especially with it being, just having been Christmas and things like that, that they were very much missing their loved ones. And we understand that that's one of the main reasons that people come to places like this. But sometimes I like to read out a thing like that, just so you know that even if you don't get a message tonight, our loved ones are always with us. Everything's part of a plan, everything happens for a reason, and just don't give up. Thank you. I'll pass over to you if you want to do anything at all. You can do an address or just go straight into it. It's up to you.
Good evening, friends. It's a new year. Did anybody make any New Year's resolutions? No one? You did?
I was a good girl.
The last one I made was many, many years ago. I've never broke it. And that was not to make any more New Year's resolutions. Because Spirit has given us the power to change our life, or sight to change our life at any given second with our next thought. You can do it now with your next thought. If there's something you want to change in your life, think about it and work towards it. I don't need one day a year. I can do it any time. You can do it any time. And it's a situation where sometimes you have to put yourself first. It's not being selfish, it's just being that sometimes it's something you might want to need, or you need something, and you've been given the power to go for it. You know, people think, oh, you're selfish, but you're not selfish. You're thinking about yourself for once. I mean, we think about so many different people in our lives that we need to have time for ourselves. And we need to know that, again, we can change our life. Just that one thought. And it's like a farmer. He puts the seed in the field. He doesn't go back next day and expect a crop. He knows it takes time. He knows it needs nurturing. And that's how we have to change our life sometimes. No one can change their life overnight unless you win the lottery. And I keep asking, but they're not listening. So, but no one can do it, and it's only you have to work towards it. And one important thing is, forget about yesterday. Forget about the past. Don't hold on to the past. A lot of people hold on to the past, and they bring that forward, and that stops them moving forward. The worst thing you can do is think about the past. Leave it in the past. You need to learn from the past. You don't need to drag it with you, because that'll slow you down. Whatever has happened in your past, it's a lesson for you to move on. And any new decisions you need to make, you don't think about the past. You make that decision on what you know at that particular moment. And how do you trust yourself? You know, you trust other people, but the main person you need to trust is yourself. Are you making the right decision? Are you sure you want to make that decision? But don't let the past be a reason you don't make the decision. Because at any given moment, someone can walk into your life, or something can happen in your life at any particular moment, any time of the day, can take you forward and make your life a whole lot better at any given time. So always be open and never live in the past. It's a case of you wouldn't drive around the M25 looking backwards, would you? What would you do? Crash. And if you live your life looking backwards, that's going to crash as well. You're going forward, and that's the only way you look. Forget the past. And quite often people say about drawing the curtains. Yes, you have to draw the curtains. Learn from the past. Don't let the past spoil your future. And I'm going to leave that thought with you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
If I come to you, please have an open mind. Please don't concentrate on a loved one. no matter how much you love them. I can't demand people to come through. I have to work with whoever comes through. And it doesn't have to be family. It can be friends, school friends, work friends, best friends. It can be a lady down the road, number 34. It could be someone you've worked with in a supermarket somewhere. It can be absolutely anybody you've met in your life. No one can remember every single person they've met in their life. I can't even remember who I met yesterday. So let it go years ago. But anyone can come through and give you a message. And if your parents, your mum and dad or granddad, and if they're watching EastEnders or Coronation Street, they're not going to leave that unless there's something really important. Other people can come in and give you such good messages as well. It's not always family. And it can be people you've absolutely hated. These people come through, but they leave the hatred on the earth plane. They don't take it with them into the spirit world. When you die, or when you pass over, any hatred we have, we leave. That's our learning on the earth plane. That's what we're working through at the moment, all this muck. And you only got to look at Eastern Europe and the Middle East to see the hatred out there. That's what we're working through when we go to the spirit world. Anyone that comes through comes on a love vibrations. If you don't want to talk to them, fine, we'll just move on, it's not a problem. But sometimes these people give you good messages as well. So it's up to you. When I open up, sometimes I get old families in or a group of people come in, so it might be a bit mixed, okay? I'm not sure I'm going with at the moment. I'll come to the lady in the blue check thing. Can I come to you? Okay, okay. I have a lady coming in. As she comes in, I see her shortish hair, blondish hair, or fair hair. I just feel with her, she will be someone who, I don't see her as an old lady. I feel she lived to a very old age. I feel she would have passed late 60s, early 70s. You take a lady like that? I also feel with this lady, and she's talking about a necklace. There's a special necklace she had, or you got a special necklace. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't. It's just a necklace. It's not a cross or. It's a jewellery, a stone or some sort. Does that make sense? Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. I also feel I've got to give you a name, Sally. I'm not saying that's her name. I've got to give you a name, Sally. She's talking about Benji. That might be a dog or something saying that Benji or something like that. Does that make sense?
Yes, it absolutely
okay.
does make sense.
I also feel with her, she would be someone who. She's saying I used to be too fussy sometimes. And she said I let it spoil some of my life because I was too concerned it had to be right. She's now realised it doesn't have to be perfect. And she's learned that there's no such thing as perfection. Does that make sense? Because I also feel with her that she would have passed with a stroke or an heart attack. Does that make sense?
I think that you're talking about my husband's aunt.
Okay.
She died of cancer.
Okay. I just feel it was, when she did pass, it was quite quick.
Yes,
Okay.
very quick.
Okay. I also feel with her that was she had done embroidery or she done needlework of some sort?
She worked.
She showed me
she
needles
worked
and all
with her
that.
hands.
Okay. I also feel with her she could sing a little bit. Does that make sense? Because I'm not saying she was a professional, but she said I used to do a little bit of singing. Okay. Will there be 3 children around her? Or have you got 3 children?
I kind of.
Talking about 3 children.
I have 2 children here and one.
Okay. As she can, I also feel with her, she would be someone, could be very blunt sometimes.
Yes.
That if someone was annoying her, she would just say what she actually thought. She wouldn't, no treading softly, she would say it in your face. But only if they was annoying her. Generally she tried to sort of back off from confrontation, but she would be very blunt. Okay. I also feel with her, she would be someone who was she a taught children at one time?
No, I didn't really know her particularly.
Okay.
Well,
Do you teach children at one time?
No.
Okay. She's talking about teaching children. So
She's a very good role model. She
Okay,
has an
okay.
excellent sense of humour.
I'm going to ask her why she's come. And it's as though she wants you to relax more. And it's as though you're trying to do your best you can. But you know you've got this feeling that the best you can is not good enough. And you're trying to please other people. Does that make sense? And she's saying, oh, I can't use the words she's saying, but she's saying, you know, as long as you do your best, that's all that counts. If other people don't like it, that's their fault. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes a lot of
So you
sense.
see, you try too hard to please other people. And some people just cannot be pleased. It's as though they're drawing on your side. It's as though they want people to build them up all the time.
Yes.
And they're saying, well, you need to back off from that, because that's negative, you know, you need to back up. You need to think about yourself. Does that make sense? You need to put yourself first. She's saying that you can't just walk away. She realises you just can't walk away. But you need to start making plans for the future, for you. What do you want in the future? Does that make sense? And she said that the time will come in maybe in 2 or 3 years' time, you're going to have to make a decision one way or the other.
Yeah.
Don't be scared of making that decision. You will be okay. Does that make sense? It's as though things are getting too much on top of you. You're doing your best, but people keep finding fault or keep picking on you. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Do you do painting?
Just started.
Okay. Just started. She's talking about the painting. Okay. She's also talking with you as though that, well, do you Lacey had connections with London, or do you have connections with London?
She wouldn't have, not necessarily.
She's talking about connections with London.
Yeah,
Isn't she? Okay. She's also saying with you as though that what you've done, you've got children. I'm getting the feeling they're grown-up children now. Does that make sense? And she said you need to be proud of them, but you also need to be proud of yourself the way you brought them up. It hasn't always been easy for you, and you didn't always get the help you should have had. You said sometimes you was very let down, but you worked with it, you persevered, and the children are fine now. They will understand if you've got to make decisions that you feel that might not be good for them. You say, it might be a case you've got to put yourself first, but they will understand, they will support you. Does that make sense? Okay? One of them starting a new job.
Hope so.
Hope so. She's been told there's a new job coming. Okay? She's not telling me which one, but she's saying there's a new job. Okay, I'm going to leave her alone with
Thank you
you.
very much indeed.
Lizzie, I've got to give you Lizzie or Elizabeth. Can you take that?
Yes.
Lizzie or Elizabeth? Okay, I'll kind of leave her with you. Thank you for working with me. Okay? Can you come to the couple, the man and the lady in the middle there? Can I come to you both?
Yeah.
Are you friends or relations?
Relations.
Relations, okay. I feel the lady mainly. Again, I see feel a lady coming in, and I feel this will be your mother in spirit.
Yeah.
Okay. But also feel your mother, she will be someone who, how do I put it? As though she had to be obeyed. Does that make sense? It's as though that whatever she said, you had to. You can't take that. Ish, okay, and this is the gentleman I'm talking about. But I did feel that she was very misunderstood.
Yeah.
That she said, I can only blame myself, the way I went about things. I didn't always consider other people, and I made a lot of mistakes doing that, but I've never learnt my lesson. I kept just doing it and doing it. She's saying, I'm sorry, done that, but it was just my way, I didn't realise. Okay? I also feel that she would be someone who, would she have worked with the council? Or do you work with the council?
I have.
Okay, she's talking about council work. Okay, she's also talking with you or with her. I just feel that when she passed, I just feel she had a lot of pain when she passed. Does that make sense? And she was saying, I was fighting it, but really I was glad I passed over because it was such a relief. Okay, she said that so the pain was for about 5 years. About 5 years illness, and the pain just got worse. And she's talking about going to the hospital with doctors, and she said, anything they did, it didn't seem to work. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. I also feel towards the end there'd be problems with her walking. That she had a sinner frame in a wheelchair or something like that. Does that make sense? And I also feel there was shortness of breath with her, and there might have been an oxygen tank around her somewhere. Does that make sense? But I just feel that out of the blue sometimes she could be very funny. Yeah. And at times when you unexpected it. Does that make sense? And so there's something might be happening and everybody a bit negative, and she'll come out and liven things up. You see, one thing I couldn't do, but she said, trouble was I didn't do it all the time and I should have done. That makes sense, okay? Also, I've got to give you, I know it's an old name, I know it's a common name, what used to be a common name, Bert, can you take a Bert? Albert, or something like that? That old that, anyway, okay. Like I said, we can't remember everything on the spur of the moment. The trouble is, when we come to you, we're putting you under stress, and you're trying to think, but when you go home, you're more relaxed. It all comes in to play, like, you know. But she's talking, who had the sovereign ring? She's showing me a ring with sovereign. Does that make sense?
My dad had one
years
ago.
Did she buy it for him or something?
Don't know.
Did she show me the sovereign ring? It's supposed to be in the family somewhere. Does that make sense?
It's not been seen for years.
No, okay, right, okay. But she was also talking with you as though Roman Catholics in the family? Roman Catholic connections? Does that make sense?
Her dad.
Because she's showing me a rosary, so that's what she's showing me. So I also feel with that there would be, in the family, there'd be someone from Europe as well.
Yes.
Eastern Europe, does that make sense? She's talking about the person from Eastern Europe.
From Greece.
Where?
Greece.
Greece. Oh, that's not Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Okay. Perhaps I've heard it wrong, but she's just saying about someone from Europe. But I just feel with her, she was a very clever lady, very intelligent. Yeah. So you could give her a puzzle and she'll work it out. Her IQ was very high. Does that make sense? She should call that her IQ was very high. And she said, but I never made it pay. I should have really sat down and thought about making my life a lot better, but she said I never did. I can ask her why she's come. Maureen, I've got to give you Maureen as well as a name. Oh, no, don't worry about it too much, okay? And I feel there will be a child that's been in hospital for a long while. You take a child that's been in hospital, going in the past, talking about the child that was in hospital a long time. That's all right. Think about that. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to ask her why she's come. She's talking about with you as though you need to slow down a bit. It's as though you're thinking ahead of yourself. And both of you, it's as though you've got your plans and all that. And she's saying, yeah, okay, but just slow down. You're getting too far ahead of yourself, and there might be problems. that you're too far ahead and you won't be able to deal with the problem. She said the problems you can deal with as long as you don't get too far ahead. Does that make sense? She said, you're trying to jump the hurdles before they're there. And she said, just slow down a little bit. She's also talking, got to give you connections with Cornwall.
I've got connections with Cornwall.
She's talking about, do you want to move to Cornwall?
Yeah.
Okay, you're talking about, she said, if that's what you want to do, work towards it. Work towards it. If it's going to make you happy, that's what you want. Work towards it, okay? She's also talking, going back to the gentleman who do a lot of writing.
At work, yeah.
Oh, okay, so just say you do a lot of writing. And she's saying with that, it's as though that you need to start thinking about writing a book about yourself and your experiences. Does that make sense? It's as though
I
you've
know someone who's doing that.
Pardon?
I know someone who's doing that.
Okay.
It's not like,
She's saying you've had some really good experiences in your life, and the way you've coped with them and got over them would be lessons for other people. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Okay. She's talking about a child's spirit.
Yeah.
Okay, she's saying that child's spirit. Little boy. She's showing me a little boy. I'm not going to change that. It will be a little boy somewhere. I'm not changing that. It's as though, well, you wouldn't know, but the child passed when I was about 5. Does that make sense? Okay, that's older, and that might be for somebody else. Okay. She's also talking with you as though, come back to the lady, she's saying with you as though it's time that she's wants you more relaxed, but she's saying you need to find time for yourself as well. She say it's as though if you've got spare time, you've got this feeling, oh, I've got to do something, I've got to do something. And she's saying, no, that spare time is for you to relax. Do you meditate?
No.
No, she's talking about, I mean, I'm not saying you've got to meditate, but she's talking about meditation. She said everybody needs their own time every day. And she said, when you've got nothing to do, just take advantage of it. She said, a lot of people love that and got nothing to do. She said, you're lucky when you've got nothing to do and you worry about it. Does that make sense? Okay, who's got the dental appointment?
I have.
Okay. Before Christmas, I had a bridge and it all broke. And then people moan about the dentist, National Health dentist. I've got an appointment and I've got dentures made in a month. And I thought that was good for a dentist. So, but she's saying don't miss your dental appointment, okay? And she's saying also with that there might be a thing where, how can I put it? They say they wanted to do some cleaning. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I've got to
Okay,
find out.
I think she said it's about making a difference to your teeth. Okay. Also an hospital appointment for somebody.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's saying stop worrying. Stop worrying. It'll be okay. They will deal with it. It'll be okay. Does that make sense? She's not telling me what it is. She's saying that they will deal with it. It'll be okay. All right. Got to give you Benny as a name. Benny.
Right.
Does that make sense?
I only know one Benny. Yeah.
Okay, as long as you know one, that's all. She's not saying it's a football team, or she's
No.
giving one point, okay?
Yeah.
But she's saying with you as though you've got to start thinking of the future for yourself as well. Both of you, not saying it's this, so it's time now to start planning for the future. Where you need, again, he's saying about you need to relax a bit more, okay? She's saying, yeah, it's okay, you know, you've got this sort of job where you're under pressure. She says sometimes you do bring that pressure home. And you need to learn the trick of leaving it at work, where it's supposed to be. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You've got to change your car.
It's getting old. But
Okay, so you're talking about a change of car, okay? I had my car vandalised before Christmas. It's right off at the moment. She's seen you both lot of love. I've got to give you envy. It's talking about an envy. Have you got an envy vacuum cleaner?
No.
Okay, because she showed me that, so I might have moved on anyway. I might have moved on, okay. She's sending you love, I'm going to leave her love with you. Thank you. Anybody got an envy vacuum cleaner? No one?
Only at work, and I don't want to think about work right now.
Come to the lady over there. Yeah, can I come to you? Okay. I have a man coming in, and I feel this will be either your father or your grandfather. Are they both in the spirit world?
They are.
Okay. I've got to give you the name George. Okay, I'm not saying that's her name, but one of them just said George. Okay. In fact, I might have them both actually. But she said George. But I also feel that one of them would have liked to go fishing. You can't take fishing.
No.
Somebody around you likes to go fishing. What they're doing is showing me someone sitting on a riverbank. Does that make sense? Is that a committee there? Okay, you're all there, all family or friends? Okay, I've got to give you someone going fishing. You can take that, okay. And it's they didn't go for the fish, they just went for the relaxation. And quite honestly, nothing bores me more than sitting on the bank of the river. So I don't know how you find it. Yeah. I went with he said, come fishing, and I was so bored. What's it? I don't mind sea fishing, that's a bit different than sitting on the bank of the river. So I also got to give you someone who likes to play cards, a card player, and it's sort of as though they would be in a British Legion or working man's club, and that was their enjoyment. That was their highlight of their week, of my card night. Does that make sense? Okay. And they would not miss their card night. They could be half dead and they would still go. Does that make sense? Okay. I also feel this man, I'm not sure which one I've got, I just feel with him, he was quite a comedian. Does that make sense? One of them. That he never took a lot of things seriously. No. He was quite very laid back, and nothing would worry him. And he's saying, my idea was let other people worry. Why should I worry? They're going to worry for me. I just feel he's very laid back, but I just feel his partner, his wife, used to be very uptight with that attitude. Does that make sense? In the sense that if there was something to be done, the man would say, I'll do it, and in time I'll do it, and that didn't go down too well with his partner, his wife. Does that make sense? Us men will do things, we may not do it tomorrow, but it'll get done one day, so that's sort of attitude with him, doesn't it? I've got to give you connections with Birmingham. Does that make sense? Connections with Birmingham. You can take that? All it's saying is tell her about Birmingham, connections with Birmingham. Would you have gone to the exhibition centre there at one time? They're showing me the exhibition. Is it NCL, what it's called? NCE. Does that make sense? Okay, who keeps the dogs? Okay, talking about them. Do you breed them? No. Okay. Do you show them? Okay, he's showing me the week or the fortnight when they do the dogs, I forget what it's called, Crufts. They're showing me that. Okay. Have you been there, Crufts? Okay. Okay, but they're showing me that. Okay. They're also showing me that around them, I just feel that there was an argument in the family between granddad and dad. Does that make sense? And so there was difference riding, but they're saying we've got over that now, we're okay, and we realised that it was something silly, that we shouldn't have done that, okay, we shouldn't have took it as far as we did, but we've made up now, it's all real, does that make sense, okay? I also feel I'll come to the lady in the middle. Have you got an hospital appointment coming up? One of you got an hospital appointment coming up? Someone around you got an hospital appointment coming up? No?
Potentially I have.
Pardon?
Potentially I have.
Okay. Because you're being told that they're getting very uptight, they need to calm down. It's not as bad as they think it is. They just need to calm down. That makes sense, okay? Someone on tablets, someone on pills, just as though they want to come off them. And it said, you can't come off them, you've got to work your way off them. You can't just stop. Does that make sense? So, you also, who's been married twice? Okay. You still got your first wedding ring?
No.
Okay. What happened? She's talked. Pardon?
I'm not sure.
Well, they're saying you've got to get, if you've got it, you've got to get rid of it. Because, okay. But what they're saying, if you, when it sees it, you may not realise, but it can remind you of the past without you really realising it. That makes sense. She's also Bernard. I've got to give you a name, Bernard. Okay. Oh, yeah, anyway. I'm going to come to the lady at the end. It's talking about you as though sometimes you need to set back and let things develop. Does that make sense? Set back and just let it go. And if it goes wrong, they can't blame it on you. Does that make sense? It's as though you're too close to something's happening. If it goes wrong, they need to talk to themselves about what's gone wrong, not pass the blame onto somebody else, which might be you. Okay? And to the lady in the middle, with you need to have more confidence. Does that make sense? It's as though you need to speak up for yourself. And it doesn't matter how you do that, as long as you speak up for yourself. And it really doesn't matter what words you use, as long as you speak up for yourself. It's as though someone at the moment is finding fault or picking on you. Does that make sense? Okay. Do you work? This would be in a work situation where you need to stand up for yourself at work. Does that make sense? It's a work situation. You see, you stand up for yourself. So you see, generally, people like that, once they've had somebody stand up against them, they back off and they go and find somebody else. Okay? You've got to pay that. Come to the lady here. Is it lemon or yellow? Whatever it is. Okay? It's talking about you. Are you thinking of moving? And don't rush it. Don't rush it. Don't. Okay, just take your time. You will move, but just take your time, because you mustn't get the first one you see. So you need to go round and have a look, 2 or 3 or 4 of them, and pick the right one. Okay? And I'm going to leave them with you. Thank you for listening to me. Okay? Two ladies together? Friends or family? Friends. Okay. I've got to give you a name, Bobby. You take Bobby? Yep. Okay. Can you take a dog called Bobby?
Yes.
Okay. So you've got a Bobby and a Bobby dog, or is it?
Yep, I've got 2. Yep.
Okay. I've got a lady coming in, and I feel this will be a lady 2 generations up from you, so it'll be on the same level. I'm not saying it is, but it'll be on the same level as your grandma. Okay? As she comes in, I feel with her hair was ginger colour, curly, very curly. You take a lady like that?
I take the curls, but not necessarily ginger.
Pardon?
I take the curls, but not necessarily ginger.
There's
Okay.
ginger in my family. So
Pardon?
maybe.
It's ginger in your family.
Yeah.
Okay, right, okay, I just feel with her, I don't see it a dark ginger,
No.
I just feel a
Yeah.
light ginger, okay? I just feel with her, she will be someone who loses her temper quite quickly,
Okay.
okay? That she didn't take falls all that badly, okay? And she thought that she was always in the right. Does that make sense? Or was it okay? Alice, I've got to give you a name, Alice,
There's
okay?
others, yeah.
I've also told. She's showing me, you don't see them there. Years ago, the little blue handicap
Yeah.
card, she's showing me one of them.
Mhm.
You take one of them?
I think somewhere in the family, yeah.
Okay, so she's showing me one of them. Okay, some different things they show you sometimes. I also feel that you've got to give you London connections.
Yeah, I have those impressions.
East London.
I don't quite know, but I have got London connections.
Okay, because she's showing me there's a big park in East London called Victoria Park. She's showing me Victoria Park.
Okay.
Okay, but she's also talking that she would be someone who everything had to be neat and tidy. She didn't like things out of place. Does that make sense?
That's, I can
That
do
would,
that.
yeah.
Okay, so it's as though if she had grandchildren around, they touched something, as soon as the grandchildren went, she put it back place. Does that make sense? She didn't mind them touching it, but afterwards, when they wasn't there, she put it all back, make it all spick and span again. Does that make sense? Okay. I also feel this lady that she'd be someone who very much in your face if you annoyed her. And so you didn't want to get on the bad side of her. Does that make sense?
Not as a grandmother, maybe as a partner. She might have
Okay, it's I feel with her, okay. I also feel that towards the end of her life there'll be problems with her legs. Okay, so it's as though, I don't know what they call it, but it'll be your legs swell up. Show me that. Okay, does that make sense? I mean, I might have 2 people here,
I think you have
okay. But I feel that in their younger days that they would be someone who really kept up with the fashion and they enjoyed it, they went out and had fun and they enjoyed it. But after they got married, that's just sort of went and she had to contend with married life and children and all that. She's showing me 4 children. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I've got 3 and then one that didn't make it.
Okay, she's giving me 4 children. She's also got to give you Dennis as a name.
Yep.
Dennis, okay. I also feel with her, she would be someone who, was she wrote poetry? Or do you write poetry?
I have written poetry.
Okay, you're talking about doing poetry, so it might be you. But I feel with her, she'd be someone who done a lot of thinking. And if you ask her a question, it'll take 2 or 3 minutes to get an answer because she'll be weighing up the question and looking for the answer. But the answers she give you will be the right answer. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Okay. I feel when she passed her spirit, she's not telling me of any illness, I feel it would be a peaceful passing. Does that make sense? Will you passing her sleep or something like that?
I wasn't there, so I don't quite know.
Okay, I can't change that, she's talking about a peaceful passing. I'm going to ask her why she's come. She's talking about that sometimes we have to look at ourselves and sometimes that all of us at one time has to own up to ugly truths about ourselves. Everybody in the room, you know, and you're saying that you've done that and you've moved on. Don't go back. Does that make sense? You see, you know, we all do it. We all, you know, there's no one here is, no one on the planet is absolutely perfect. We all do things that we shouldn't. That's it. But we have to move on from them. We have to leave them behind. But we have to own up to them. Because if we don't, we're only cheating ourselves. That's it. Once you've owned up and seen what's wrong, you will find that life is a lot better and you will move forward a lot quicker. Does that make sense? You can't take that. It's as though there's things you want in your life, and at the moment, it's as though you're putting a barrier up, and you've got to recognise that the barrier doesn't exist, it's you that's the barrier.
Okay.
And just go with it. Does that make sense? Okay? One last thing, talking about a birthday coming up.
Yeah, we've got a birthday coming up.
Are you making the cake?
I'm not making the cake now.
Well, no, she's talking about someone making a cake.
My niece's mum will make it.
And also, is there a wedding coming up? Just show me a wedding cake now.
Not in
But you
niece.
wouldn't know about the wedding, not saying, not. Okay.
There isn't my family. Okay.
You can take that?
There isn't my
Okay,
family
she'll
yet.
show me the wedding cake, okay. One last thing, she's talking to the lady, the first lady, she's talking about reviews. Go with the courage of your convictions. Don't let no one get in your way. Does that make sense? She says you can do it. And I'm going to leave her alone with you both. Thank you for listening to me. I could come to the lady in the middle. Are you all together or just you two, friends and family? I want to ask one more. Okay. Can you take a young man in spirit?
Yes.
Late teens, early 20s?
Yes.
Okay. Sudden passing,
Yes.
tragic passing.
Yes.
Does that make sense? Okay. As he comes in, I just feel this young man, I just feel he was someone who was just coming up to the stage in life where he knew what he wanted and he knew it was possible for him to achieve it. Does that make sense? He's talking about his childhood, when earlier on in life there was problems, and as though he got over those problems and the world opened up to him in a way he didn't realise. Does that make sense? Okay. Was he a young man passed at night?
Early evening.
Because there'd been street lights on. He's showing me street lights.
I don't think.
Okay, I'll hold that anyway, it's showing me street lights. I've got to give you Kenny as a name. Kenny. Kenneth. Hold that. It doesn't have to be their name, you know.
Sure.
It could be someone you met years ago. But someone, Kenny, I've got to give you Kenny, and I've got to give you Doreen as a name as well. Talking about Doreen, okay. All that. This young man, I just feel, he's talking, was he had a bicycle? He's talking about a bike. I'm not saying he passed on a bike. He's saying about a bike, or if you've got a bike.
Possible, I don't know.
There's somewhere along there there's got to be a bike somewhere. But I don't feel it's got anything to do with the accident. Okay? He also talked, I feel, would it be either a sister or a very close friend, not a relationship.
Yes.
There'd be a very strong friendship with a lady or a girl. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And it's so that with the girl, as though that he's talking about the girl who sort of, how can I put it, was his mentor, tried to change him, tried to give him confidence to move on. Does that make sense? It wasn't a relationship, although it might have turned into a relationship.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was someone giving me hope for my future. When I didn't have hope, she put hope in my mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And he said, I started working out, I started looking at details of what direction I was going in and how I could do it. He was also talking about further education as well. That he would have gone back to further education.
Possibly, yes.
Okay. You've got to give you Robert as a name. Okay. That might be Bobby or something. And I also feel that within this family, that there was problems within the family itself, that there was a difference of opinion within the family. Does that make sense?
I wouldn't know.
Okay, hold that. Okay. In that case, then I can ask him why he's come. Why he's got to tell you. He's talking about you as though you just got to put it down to bad experience. Does that make sense? He's not telling me what it is. He's just saying it's not your fault. It's just other people got involved. It didn't work out. Put it down. Move on. Forget about it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
This is don't let other people's mistakes hold you back,
Okay.
because it's nothing to do with you. You just happen to be there. If you wasn't there, it still would have happened.
Yeah.
He's not telling me what it is. It's not my business as long as you know. Okay? He's saying that it's give you time to think about your future and where you're going,
Okay.
because it's as though that you've realised that things in life can change just like that.
Yes.
And it's about whatever hopes, dreams or ambitions you've got, go for them. Go for it. Don't think, oh, I'll do it another day, I'll start tomorrow, I'll start next week, next month. If you want it, go for it.
Okay.
Every time. Does that make sense? It's as though you've got ambitions and you're not there yet.
Okay.
And so if you've got those ambitions, go for it. Don't worry about other people. So you see, some trouble with you look over your shoulder at other people too much, because it's as though you don't want to be ahead of them. You don't want to be the one that stands out. Does that make sense?
Definitely.
And he's saying, well, someone's got to do it, why not you? He
Yeah.
says, sometimes we need to come away from the crowd to be noticed.
Yes.
There's something about, I don't know what it is, but he's saying there's something about you, it's time that people took notice of you. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I don't know
absolutely.
why, but he's just saying that. Come to the gentleman. Okay. It's as though that you're sort of man at very plain talking, but you got the gift of getting people to do more for themselves. Does that make sense? It's as though you give a lot of people encouragement. He said, but at the same time you scare a lot of people. He said, never mind about it, it doesn't matter. As long as you get the work done, as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you're making improvements for other people's lives. Does that make sense? He said, I know you work hard. He said, but sometimes you've got to think about yourself as well. It's as though, I don't know what you do, he's talking about you going up to the next level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so.
He said, it's time you went up to the next level. Stop wondering whether you can or can't. You've been asked to do it. The person that's asked you to do it, they must think you can do it, and that's good enough. Go out and do it. Does that make sense? It's time to move on. It's time to go. Whatever. I don't know what they're talking about. It's time to go up to the next level, and he's saying, go for it. Go for it. Okay. Your mother in spirit?
No.
Your grandmother in spirit?
Yeah.
Did she suffer from asthma?
No.
Does that make someone around you suffers from asthma?
Someone
Does that
else
make
has
sense?
to suffer
Nice cat, okay, so that for you. Okay. But she's saying that with you, it's really time that you need to come into your own. Doesn't it? It's as though you've got plans for yourself in a way that, how can I put it, you want to work for yourself. Does that make sense? In the sense you're helping people, but you're doing it your way. Okay? It's not always the right way according to other people, but it's your way. And if your way works, get on with it. Okay? He's sending you both a lot of love. I'm going to live there love with you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Come to the two ladies sitting together. Are you together? Friends?
Friends, yeah.
Friends, okay. I'm going to come to the dark-haired lady first, okay? I have a lady coming in, same generation as you, about the same age as you. I don't feel it's a relationship, I feel it's more of a friendship. And you take a lady that died with cancer around you,
That would be my kind of age.
not exactly your age, might be 2 or 3 years difference one way or the other. But I do feel this will be a lady you've worked with at one time. You can't take that. This lady would have fair hair, it would be wavy. This lady would have enjoyed going dancing, enjoying life, going to discos and clubs. She made the most of her life by doing what she wanted to do. Will you take this lady? Okay. Would you have worked in a place where you had to pack boxes? Because that makes you shame people. What about the other lady? She's showing me someone packing boxes. You can't take that. Can anybody else take this at all? Oh, I haven't left you. Okay. Can you take this lady? Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I was about to say, she's seen me a lot now. She's talking with you, saying that you're good at packing boxes. That will come in handy. Okay? I'll leave that with you. Okay? I will come back to these two ladies. Come to the ladies' area. Okay? I have a lady coming in, and I feel this will be on the grandmother level, grandmother in spirit. Yeah. I'm not saying it is your grandmother, it'll be on that level. But I also feel an old-fashioned grandmother. It might even be your great-grandmother. One of these ladies that used to wear the left hand aprons and all that. Does that make sense?
Maybe.
Okay, this lady would have come from a big family. She would have, you take a lady that had 7 children.
Not 7, no.
Okay, I just feel this lady was not your grandmother, it would be your great-grandmother. Would you know anything about your great-grandmother?
I don't know too much.
Are you all together? 4 then, okay. I've got to give you the name Ivy. Talking about an ivy, you can't take that anyone. Okay. I've got to give you Michael. I've got to give you Irish connection somewhere. Or connections with Ireland. No? No one been to Ireland at all?
I've got Irish.
You've got Irish connection. Okay, can you take a great-grandmother? Do you know anything about your great-grandmother? Okay, you don't know nothing about her. Would you know about 7 children in a family somewhere?
Possible.
Possible. I always say possible, so yes, that's it. I'll come with you then. I just feel this lady, I just love this, I just feel she's an old-fashioned grandmother that works hard, scrubbing the gallery and all that. Everything was pretty basic, no television or anything like that. Might not even have the electric, might be gas. It's as though it's that sort of lady. family, you know, I'm going to ask her why she's come. There's no point in giving you telling you. She's talking about you, so it's so that you need to speak up. Does that make sense? It's as though there's something you're holding back and you're not sure how it's going to be received if you say it. Does that make sense? And she said, just say it. Just say it. If people don't like it, tough, that's their problem. It's not your problem. It's as though you've got a problem with something or other. And she said, just say it, just say it. It's good, it might cure it, it might not. But at least you've got it off your chest and you can move on. And you pass that problem from you to somebody else. Let them have the problem. If they can't sort it out, well, that's their problem. Does that make sense? It's as though there's something going on around you you're not very happy about. And she said, just say it. Once you say it, just forget about it, just live your own life. Does that make sense? Okay? She's talking, are you waiting for a letter? Or are you waiting for email or text or something? Pardon? You're not waiting for a reply for something. Okay. What about anything?
I'm waiting for an email.
Okay, it's as though you've sent off something and you're waiting for a reply. And she's saying with that it might not be the answer you want. She said, but it'll be the answer you need. Because the one you want might give you false hope. But the answer that you get, you will know exactly where you stand. And you can start planning your life the way you want to plan your life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
She said sometimes you rely too much on other people. She said you're big enough and old enough to sort your own life out. Because people don't always deliver. But if you do it yourself, you will deliver. Does that make sense? Okay? She's talking with you on that. Who used to live on a narrowboat? She's showing me a big narrowboat on the river. No one? No? Okay, see, I'm going back and forth. I might have 2 or 3 people here. Okay. I've got to give you a name, Lenny. You take a Leonard or Lenny? Anyone? Spanish connections as well. Someone got a place in Seville in Spain or something like that? Does that make sense?
I've got a place in Spain.
Pardon?
I've got a place in Spain.
Okay, it might be coming with you there. Okay, she's talking about Spain and all that. You can't take Lenny. Okay, hold that. Okay. She's saying with you, and so it's as though that you. It's as though you're trying to impress somebody in the sense that you try and do that. And she's saying, give it up. Give it up. You're wasting time. Your time could be spent more on what you do for yourself rather than trying to show somebody else. Does that make sense? She's saying, you know, they might or they might not in the future come round to your way of thinking. But don't rely on it. Don't make decisions on it. It's as though whoever they're talking about, she's saying they're going through a difficult time at the moment and it's not possible to get a straight answer out of them. Does that make sense? But she's saying, you know, just move on. Don't wait for them, move on. If they want you in your life or if they're meant to be in your life, they will catch you up. But in the meantime, move on. Does that make sense? Okay? You bought a red dress. Who's bought the red dress? Show me a red dress. No one? Okay. Do you want to buy a red dress?
I know where to go.
Pardon?
I know where to go.
Is this for something special? Okay, hold that, if you've never noticed, just show me a red dress. Red is a very powerful colour, so there might be a reason you need to wear red for something. Okay, does that make sense? It is a powerful colour. If anyone here ever goes for a job interview, wear red. It's a powerful colour. Come to the lady at the end, okay? She's saying with you as though everything you try to do at the moment's not working. Does that make sense? And she's saying, don't give up, because although you're failing to achieve what you want to achieve, you're learning. Every time you fail, you learn a bit more. She said, no, don't give it up, because you will hit the nail on the head. But that will happen when you least expect it, and when someone else is not expecting it. She said, but don't give up, have faith in yourself. She's also talking to you as though, do you work in a market? Show me a market. I know there's one in business orders, show me a market. That's not, what about someone else's market? Show me a market. You live near a market, put it that way. Okay, I've followed that anyway, okay? She's also talking with you as though you've been looking at shoes, or have you bought a pair of shoes that needs to go back? Too tight? Okay, hold that. She's talking about tight shoes that need to go back. Okay, hold that, okay. One last thing she's saying with you is so it's time that you realise that some of the stuff you're trying to achieve, you won't achieve it. She said that there's going to be other things where you will achieve. You've just got to know when it's time to say no, yes. Time when you've got to change over. She said that you will know, it will come to you. But in the meantime, just play along, but don't get too serious. Does that make sense? Okay. I'm going to leave that love with all four of you. Thank you for working with me. Okay? You two, Rita. Come to you two. You both together?
Yeah.
Friends? Talk to the lady. Excuse me. The man coming in. And I feel this man was ex-army man. You take someone who's ex-army in the family? Yeah. Okay. And I just feel that with him, he would be someone who was in the army a long time. He wasn't a national serviceman.
Everything my granddad.
Pardon?
My granddad was in the army at some
Okay, I just feel his man was here. But I also feel with him, if he's your grandfather, I just feel that when he comes here, it's as though someone who's very proud of being in the army. As though he felt that he has achieved something. That his service time wasn't a waste of time. And I feel, would he have been in the Second World War?
yeah, I think so.
Pardon?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I suppose I'm very in those, and I forgot to put them in, okay? But he's talking about it, so he's done his part and he's proud of what he's done. Okay, I'm not telling you anything about the war, most service people don't, okay? But he's just saying he's proud, okay? He's also talking about that he was somebody who always stuck up for the person, the underdog. And he's saying that at the moment, there's somebody around you who wants strong support because things are not going right for him. Does that make sense? This would be a younger person. That's all that. It's about someone's doing their best and on the verge of giving up. Excuse me. that he doesn't want them to give up. He wants someone to push them a bit further. Does that make sense?
I'm not sure.
Okay, I can't change that. I'm going to leave that with you. So, you know, it's someone that just needs that little bit more encouragement. They're almost there, but they can't see it. They just need that little bit more push. Okay? And I just, like I say, I just feel this is a younger man that needs that push. Does that make sense? Does that hold that? Anyway, come to the other lady. I also feel with you, just talking about you, as though that it's as though you're looking forward in life and you can't see, all you can see is nothing's going to change. Does that make sense? And she said, well, that's down to you. That's down to you. You can make the change if you wish. If you want to make changes, change them. But sometimes it's as though that, how can I put it? She's saying you're quite, in a way you're quite happy the way you are because it's as though there's no expectations and you're happy with that.
Comfort zone.
Fun?
Comfort zone.
Yeah, yeah. And she's saying, push yourself for expectations. Push yourself. You never know what's going to go up. She said, because we sink back into this comfort zone and people don't really notice us. But if we come out of that comfort zone, people wake up and they see us.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's as though they want you to move on. Okay? You take a man in spirit. Okay? I just feel this man was very close to you. I feel it was quick passing. Does that make sense? I just feel it was a quick passing, unexpected. It was an unexpected that way, unexpected. And he's saying, well, I never did things the right way anyway. Does that make sense? You see, I've never done things in an organised way. Things just happen. Okay, but he's laughing. I just feel this man, whoever he is, I just feel that he had a great sense of humour, and he didn't let other people bother him.
No.
He lived his life the way he wanted to live it. I'm not saying he didn't live a life without problems. He had problems. He faced up to the problems, but he never let those problems get him down, because he always thought there's a better day. There's always going to be a different day. And he's saying that's the way you've got to think.
Okay.
That's got to be your way of thinking. Alright, it's not here today, it'll come tomorrow.
Okay.
Does that make sense? You say you always got to be that positive. No one can. We on any given day we can go out, wake up in the morning, go out, and we can meet someone or do something that can change our lives completely. Never give up. And you say you must give up. It's as though that the Spirit has given this power to be who we want to be and to change who we want to be as well. So it's like using that power. You've got an optician's appointment coming up?
No. Should I?
Is he saying, what about the other lady? Okay.
Which one today?
She's saying, don't miss the optician's appointment. I also feel that you have problems with your legs.
No.
Who's got problems with their knees?
My sister.
Oh right, she's sending healing. Okay. Has she got to have a new knee?
She's had one.
Oh, she's had one. But it's not working properly, does that make sense? Or it's not?
No, she's got problems with her hip now.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, generally happens when you know, it's sending healing, okay? It's sending healing to you as well. It's as though he wants you more positive, okay? And I'm going to leave you love with you. Thank you for listening to me, okay?
You are more than welcome to do another one if you want to, but you've done enough, so it's all good.
To this gentleman, just do
Yep,
this
you
gentleman.
can do whatever you want to do, yep.
Father and Spirit?
No.
Grandfather.
Yeah.
2 o'clock someone, okay? As he comes out, I don't feel he was a tall man. 5'8", 5'9", or something like that. Okay. I also feel with him he would be someone that worked out in the open or done manual work.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? I don't feel with him. I just feel that he was somebody who never moved away from where he lived that much.
Yeah.
So he was born there and basically died there, and that was his life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He said, I never went on adventures or anything like that. Okay. He's talking about, I don't know how old he was, but he's talking about going on charabancs rides. That was, unless I've got your great grandfather here.
Don't know.
Okay.
Don't know.
But I also feel he was very straight to the point.
Yeah.
He didn't have the best education, so he didn't realise what things he should have said and shouldn't have said. He just said them, and he said it worked for me. And so he spoke his mind too often sometimes for some people's liking. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
He said, I didn't care about them, I just spoke my mind. Okay? I also feel with him, he lived past in his late 80s.
Yeah.
Okay? I just feel with him, he would have been a lonely man towards the end of his life. That his partner would have passed before him. Does that make sense? Or was there a separation or something like that? I just felt with him, or would he have had Alzheimer's? I just feel there was a gap there somewhere.
Both my granddad died before the wife sort of thing.
Oh, right, I felt that. And like I said, I just feel there's something there. There was a gap of some sort. I can ask him why he's come. I've got to give you the name, Bernard, as well. Bernard. I've got to give you Sylvia as well. Sylvia. Don't matter if you can't.
I know it's yeah.
Okay. I can ask him why he's come. He's saying it's time to make that decision and it's time to go with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
You see, you've been pondering it and you go, oh, no, I changed my mind, should I? He said, just go for it. Just go for it. Don't let anybody hold you back. Just go for it. Don't worry about what other people think. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's as though he's not telling you what it is, but he's saying it's about making a decision that can change your life.
Yeah.
And he said, you need to go for it. Because if there's one thing we hate in life, as we get older, we don't regret the things we do, we regret the things we don't do.
Yeah.
He said, he doesn't want you being like that. He said, you should have done something about 20 years ago and you didn't. And you think back to that, oh, I should have done that. This time, make sure you do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Make sure you do it. He said, you worry about whether it's going to be a success or not. He said, but if you don't do it, it won't be a success. But if you do it, at least you've got a good chance of success. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to leave his love with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. If you could close in prayer for me, that would be great before you sit down. I could just sit down and jump back up again. I won't make you do that.
Can I ask you to join me in prayer, please? I'd like to thank Great Spirit for being with us this evening, for the messages, the love, the healing, and comfort. Confident, whatever you've given us to help us along our path, Great Spirit. Also, I'd like to ask for healing again for the world. And we have to remember, this world doesn't belong to us. This earth, this planet, it's not ours, it doesn't belong to us. It belongs to our great grandchildren. And it's time we looked after it a lot better. So I ask you, Great Spirit, to put into the mindset of all our leaders on the earth plane, all our spiritual leaders on the earth plane, it's time to push the egos away and work together to bring peace to this world. The people don't want war, it's just the people with egos. We need peace and we need to sort this planet out for our great grandchildren and ancestors. So I ask you, Great Spirit, if you can do that, please do. Thank you for being with us tonight. Amen.
Thank you so much. Our next session is me just checking my calendar because I've got a brain like a rusty sieve with extra holes. Our next will be the 20th. I believe we have Andrew Welford with us again, who's the lovely man that jumped in last minute for us for our Christmas session because I had a cancellation. So, yeah, he's just popped in. I'm just going to pull a ticket out and then we'll go make some tea. 266. Who do I have? 266.
I haven't done this before, so thank you for everything you've done.
First time with me.
I've had connections in the past, but I just wanted to say that when you were talking about the red dress, Leonard, and Spain, Leonard's my grandfather, my dad is called Leonard, and my dad was in Spain, and I bought a red dress. I just recently bought a red dress. You knew that it was there, but I didn't want to.
Sometimes it's up to you, but you don't put it there.
I didn't feel it was
But
appropriate.
any message you give someone,
Yeah.
if it means anything to you, take it.
The thing is that everything you said is said so eloquently. You speak so eloquently, and it's really lovely to hear the support that you give. So I really appreciated it. And the message for me was really a surprise because my Auntie Sally died a long time ago, but she was my husband's uncle. Auntie, my husband died 3 years ago, and I've had to deal with a lot. So it really resonated. I appreciate it. It's really nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too.
Thank you so much. I'm just going to listen to my cup of tea.
I'm sorry, but when you was talking to my lady there, you said the name Kenny, Robert, Bobby. I can take Kenny, Robert, Bobby and Bob. I didn't speak up, sorry.
I mean, sometimes on the spur of the moment, people can't take them, but
Yeah.
there will be that.
It wasn't until... Oh yeah, I should have said I could take them, yeah.
I mean, we put you under pressure when we come to someone because we're trying to. They've got some thinking about their life.
Yeah, but my lady here's got a question for you. It's all right. Hello, son.
Hello. Thank you very much, Dad. I just wondered that the young person that you spoke to me about, were they okay? Do you remember if they were okay?
What, the young boy?
The young boy.
man? Yeah.
He's good.
Anyone that goes to spirit,
He's
they're
in a
okay.
good place.
They're okay, you know. Even if they
You know.
even if they're in an accident,
Yeah.
when they go to spirit, they're complete.
Yeah, they're complete again.
Anyone that comes from spirit is okay.
Thank you.
And anyone that comes from spirit will only come on a love vibration.
That's true. Yeah, thank you very
Never
much.
be scared of anyone.
No.
I mean, what? If you don't want to talk to them, fine, that's okay, it's not a problem. But never be scared of them.
I'm not scared. It's just, I suppose I worry about it sort of sometimes. So, but,
That's human nature.
yeah.
You're not going to change human
He'll
nature.
always be with us, so it's just the way things are. But thank you very much.
Come back round, didn't have any. Didn't have none there. Come back and put money.
What did you win?
Pardon?
What did you win?
All sorts of goodies. Lovely
Didn't have any in there.
stuff and all
I'm not opening the wine. I didn't put the chairs out. Phil put the chairs out. Don't blame me. It is lemon Okay. Do you want tea or coffee? Yeah, how do you have it, my lovely?
We've got sweeteners.
I have in the kitchen.
Oh, don't wait, after sure.
I did have sweeteners.
Don't wait, after sugar.
Yeah? Do you want milk in it? Look at her, in my way, isn't she? She's in my way. Cheek of it. So you're used to me now, aren't you? You're used to me being mean to you all. I've always been mean to people, but it's what I do. I'm abusive. Terribly abusive, I am. What you looking for now, mate? The plates that are under
Fruitcake or
waiting ready.
Fruitcake.
I got the fruit cake that you like. I got your favourite. You're picking on it.
That's my one there, I'll come back for.
It's all right then. Now get you the fruit cake you like, and then you pick on me and tell me off. Can't do nothing right now. I always get abuse. Do you want that a little bit milky, or is that?
No, that's fine, that's good.
Oh, I don't do really milky tea. I sort of do builder's tea as standard. That one's coffee and that part's tea in the big one, because I get more people drinking tea for some reason. And I know I confuse everyone by putting tea in the coffee part and coffee in the big one. I confuse people, but my logic is bigger is better.
When it comes to tea, you have to be
Exactly. That's just
me
my
homing
logic.
the biggest cup.
Go for it.
It was a good night tonight.
Yeah, it was a lovely night. Thank you. I've got it marked down.
First one I've done since before Christmas.
Mark down where I'm going with it all. List here somewhere.
I sent a Christmas card to
Where's my list?
a month ago. He messaged
Yeah, go for it. I forgot where I was.
I'm still putting Christmas cards for the door.
I'm still getting Christmas cards. The post was ridiculous. Yeah, I got them. My post has been ridiculous. I sent all my Christmas cards out to my friends because we got a little Christmas tree list where we all just sing little Christmas cards for each other. I sent mine on the 12th of December and someone got one for me today.
I've got one today.
I got stuff that was from November and it was a hospital letter, and it told us that hubby was having a heart check for his pacemaker on the, I think it was the 21st of December or something.
I can't remember.
Luckily, it wasn't a hospital appointment, and it was just they're going to be doing this check remotely. We wouldn't have known. He was feeling it going off that day, and like, what's going on? Am I okay?
You can almost take from other people's.
The little boy blonde hair, you know.
Was that you again? Is it?
It's me again.
coffee goes in the tea.
I think my granddad was playing about again tonight as well.
Yeah.
He always does that. My granddad's naughty.